Also nice if you can mute your microphone during the presentations. And as you can see, there's 3 different chats. There's a moderator chat, a room chat, and questions and answers. If you have questions already during the presentation, please type them in the questions and answer box, chat box. And then after the presentations, we will have a Q&A session and you can find back your questions. Okay, having said that, we will start with the information session. My name is Inge Zoorn. I'm the Program Director of MMIT, Molecular Medicine and Innovative Treatment. And for today, we also have invited 2 of our students, a current student and an alumni, because the most important thing is, of course, to hear from the people that have experienced the program themselves. So to start with, what do we teach our students at MMIT? We teach them to do research and with a aim or a focus on healthcare. So we teach our students mechanisms of disease and how to develop innovative treatments. So what can you think of? For example, spinal cord regeneration. We would like to help people that are currently in wheelchairs to walk again. We work on inflammatory bowel diseases such as Crohn's disease, and we also have researchers working on nanovaccines to develop cancer immunotherapy. And our students get to know about all these topics and much more. So how do we do that? What is our approach? Well, first of all, we have a multidisciplinary curriculum. Our students have diverse backgrounds, but also our teachers have diverse backgrounds. So we have people with a background in genetics, nanotechnology, cell biology, immunology, and that learns our students or teaches our students to approach problems from different perspectives. At the University Medical Center Groningen, we also have cutting-edge facilities and resources. We are an academic hospital, so we are at the forefront of innovation in equipment and in research and healthcare. Our teachers are top-level researchers. I will come back to that later. And what is important is that they share with you their experiences, and also you get the opportunity to experience joining their research groups yourself during 2 research internships. So that is 2 times 30 ECTS. So in total, 1 year of your 2 years program, you are doing hands-on research yourself. On top of that, we have interactive learning. So we have a lot of one-on-one contact with the teachers, but also the students among themselves. So we don't have exams, but we have assignments, and that can be individual assignments, but also group assignments. So you learn how to work together, to collaborate, and you learn also from each other. And in addition, we have individual guidance through a mentoring system. So from the start of your 2 years master program and during the entire duration, you will have a mentor that will help you to come up with your individual learning goals and how to achieve those learning goals. So I mentioned that our teachers are top-level researchers, and here I have 4 pictures, 4 examples of the teachers involved in the MMIT program. So first of all, we have Professor Siska Weiminga. She is a medical geneticist, and she is one of the pioneering scientists that put really human genetics on the map in the Netherlands. In the second image, you see Professor Peter van der Meer. He is working, for example, on the development of 3D cell models to study heart failure. Professor Iris Sommer, she is a psychiatrist doing research on, for example, female and male brain differences, so really in the neuroscience field. And the last picture is of Professor Rob Koppes, who is an expert in radiotherapy, and currently he's working on a clinical trial where they use stem cells to reduce damage induced by radiation. So that is really a variety of topics, and we have many more researchers involved in the program, and that you can see from the titles of research topics that were performed by our students. So I will not ask you to read them, and even if I make a short list of these, you can see that the topics are really diverse. So for example, students worked on the development of cancer on chip models for the dynamic tumor microenvironment. So to mimic the tumor microenvironment and being able to study that in vitro instead of in vivo. But also people are working on CAR T cells for cancer immunotherapy, or on the design of new biologics for treatment of various diseases. So just to give you an impression of the diversity of topics that students work on, and they can really choose these topics themselves. So to become an MMIT expert, you do not only need research skills, but you also need to become an effective communicator, both orally and in written text. You will get the skills to collaborate effectively, and you will also learn how to behave as a professional. So, for example, how you can lead a team yourself. So you learn everything in the scientific cycle, from critically reading literature to developing new hypotheses, design experiments, to execute these experiments yourself, and to communicate the results to various audiences. So for example, to a scientific audience, but also to a non-scientific audience. Then in the program, you get the opportunity to specialize if you want to. So it is not mandatory. You can also develop your own specialization, or you can choose different topics to develop more broadly. But the specializations that we have in place are oncology, neuroscience, infection and immunity, metabolic diseases, systems medicine, and drugs and devices. And of course, there can be overlap between the different specializations. For example, in drugs and devices, people work on the development of nanomedicine, for example, for the treatment of cancer. And in oncology, you could do the same. So it's also multidisciplinary in nature within the different specializations. Then within MMIT, we currently have a track, IMIM, Innovative Medicine, and those students learn an additional skill set, and that is the entrepreneurial skill set. But the recruitment for IMIM goes via another channel, so I will not go into detail on that. What is most important, or one of the important things of our MMIT, is that we have a small cohort of 35 students maximum, which is also international. So the current cohort has 28 students, and we have 12 nationalities. And you can see the nationalities named here. Then for application and admission, of course, all this information is also available on the website, so please check there also for the most current information. So the students that can apply to MMIT are students obviously with a diverse background, and mostly this is students with a bachelor in biology, biomedical engineering, medicine, pharmacy, and life science and technology. If you have a different background, please contact the MMIT office, because still it could be that you meet the requirements to apply for an MMIT spot. Other requirements are English proficiency. Details there are also on the website, and we follow the requirements of the University of Groningen. But what is most important is that we look for motivation. So you should be motivated to join the program, which means you should also be aware of what the program entails. So when you apply, what you need is to provide a motivation letter. So why do you want to study MMIT? Your CV, a letter of reference from an academic teacher or supervisor. Perhaps you already did a small research internship, so you could ask your supervisor from that. An official university transcript, proof of English proficiency, and a copy of your passport. And the application deadline is 1st of May. Then about career opportunities. A lot of our students continue with a PhD. On average, it's 75–80% of the students that after finishing the MMIT program continue with a PhD within UMCG, but also, of course, at other locations in the Netherlands and abroad. People become oncologists, do research and development in industry, because of course you can do research within academia, but also beyond. We have people specializing into immunologists, science writers, editors, and in the end they of course can also become independent researchers. We have students that now lead their own research groups, policy advisors, strategic advisors. So there's many opportunities. And as mentioned, this can be within academia, but also in governmental organizations, non-governmental organizations. So think about NWO, TNO, RIVM, so our National Institute for Healthcare and Environment, and several consultancy companies. So with that, I would like to give the word to Annika, one of our current students, and she can explain you best how she is experiencing the program. And after Annika, Mayuka, one of our alumni, will tell her how MMIT has helped her in her current career.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. So, hi everyone, I'm Annika. The picture that you see right here is my cohort of now second year MMIT students. We are also very diverse and come from all over the world. But let me introduce myself to you first. So, one sec, this didn't work. There you go. As I mentioned, my name is Annika. I'm 24 years old and I am from Germany. And I did my bachelor's in biology at the University of Bremen in Germany. And I later on focused on molecular biology. One of the things I am currently doing is being a student mentor. So this is also something that MMIT offers to its first year students, which is quite amazing. So you have a few second year MMIT students who offer help to all the first years by, for example, showing them around the buildings. We did show them the city, so Groningen, so you get to know everything. We can help if you have any questions in general, like almost 24/7. And also later on, when you start with your research project, with your first one, or you think about it, we are also there to give you some tips and information or feedback about some of the professors if you have like any specific questions. I'll tell you a bit more later about my first research project I did at the UMCG, which was in the field of ovarian cancer. And just a little teaser, in January, I'm going to start my second research internship, which will be at Novartis, which is a pharmaceutical company, and that is located in Switzerland. And also just a little extra, I'm also a member of the Calamaris, which is a student association. That is also a big plus, I think, for the university in Groningen in general, that you have a lot of different student associations, sport associations that you can join. But let's start with why did I choose MMIT? So for me, I had like 4 major questions. And the first one is, what was I looking for? So for me, the key thing was I needed to find something that was very research focused, where you can get a lot of wet lab experience, because this was like the key thing that I really wanted to do. And there were a lot of different masters available all over the world, but none of them had the option that MMIT did, where you have two major research projects that will go between 5 and 6 months in total throughout the whole master's. And you also have some lectures in between and courses where you also get to get some hands-on experience. Then why did I choose the MMIT program? Because I really had to like weigh my options between all the masters that I wanted to apply to. And what I really like about MMIT is that it is a very diverse program. So not just the student cohort, which really are from all over the world, but also you have a lot of time to find the field of your interest, because we have so many different options. And in the beginning, we have each week different lectures about different topics. So you get a very broad like overview of everything, and then later on you can specialize if you want to, and I think that is the perfect option. And the main, or one of the other main things that supported my choice to choose MMIT was the small student cohort, because at bigger universities or bigger programs, you're just a number. You're like, okay, this is student number 5. What questions do you have? But here you really are a person, and everybody knows each other. The professors know you, the MMIT office knows you, so it's really familiar, and that makes a big difference in my opinion. And also, what was very helpful for me during the application process, and also still now as a student, is that the MMIT team and office is almost there 24/7 to support you. So if you send them an email, you usually get a reply within a couple of hours, which is amazing. And if you are becoming a student, you can always stop by their office, and they're here to help you all of the time. So that is a big plus as well. So as Inge already mentioned a bit about the application, it is a bit more intricate than other masters, I would say, because you have 2 stages. So as you already heard, the first one is your official application with your motivational letter, recommendation letter, uh, all of those things. I won't repeat it again for you guys. And those applications usually go via StudyLink or via the online application system, or email if you are Dutch or currently studying in the Netherlands. But all of these details you can also find on the website of MMIT. Also, don't worry about like your final diploma and the English test. You can always hand that in a bit later, before you start with the program, because usually you're still busy with your studies. And if you're selected for round 2, it will be an online interview which will last around 30 minutes. And you have first like a bit of a general interview for like 10 minutes ish, where you will talk with 2 professors about like your ambitions and your motivation, and what makes you the perfect student for MMIT. And then later on, you will also present your own research project. So don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be a final finished project or anything, but it is great to then show them like the way you work, the way you think, in general in the scientific field. So don't worry about it. The professors are all very, very nice. The time goes by super fast, and just make sure to really show them what motivates you and why you are the best student for the MMIT program. So talking about the program, your first year consists of a lot of different courses. You start with like theories of mechanism of diseases, and then with experimental techniques. So that will be like the first 2 to 4 months of your masters that you focus on those things, and they usually consist of only lectures with some little add-ins of practical work. And here you have a lot of assignments. So every week you have a new assignment that you hand in on Friday. So it's usually a presentation or something, a written report, an abstract. And all of those things will be done in group work, or most of them. But most of them, yeah, are group work. And that actually helps you really well to like grow in your skill as a collaborator, because if you were part of a bigger bachelor program, you probably didn't have any experience with group work. At least that was my case, to be honest. So it can be challenging, but it will help you later on, especially when you start then with your research project. That will be then in the second half of your first year. It can help you a lot for doing a nice project. You will also have a statistic course, and throughout both of the years, you have a course called Fit for Practice. My cohort like to call it group therapy, because you learn a lot how to find like your key skills, your qualities, your values, but also your pitfalls, and that can also help you along the way with your research project. So I think that was also very helpful. And then in the second year, you start with some elective courses where you can then later on specialize, as Inge already told you. And then you will learn how to write a project proposal. So it will be a PhD proposal. And I think that it is very challenging, but it will help you a lot later on when you stay in academia, but also if you decide to go towards industry. And then you will do another research project, which is usually done abroad, which is amazing. And as already mentioned, you have mentoring throughout the whole 2-year masters, and it is very helpful because the mentor will not only help you career-wise, but also like life-wise and personal if you have any problems, which I think is a pretty amazing opportunity. So when it comes to your research project, for me I thought I was interested in cancer, so I wanted to do something in the field of cancer to gain more experience and knowledge. And the perfect thing for this is that you have in the beginning every Friday speed dating sessions. And you meet throughout these sessions a lot of different professors and PIs. You talk with them, you get to know the kind of research projects they offer, and later on you can contact them and have a further interview to see if you're a good fit for the project they offer. A little tip from me, it is also very nice if you get to meet your daily supervisor and the team beforehand, because then you can see if like you vibe with them, if the chemistry fits, because otherwise it will be a very long project. And the most perfectly part about the research project is that you have so many different options to tailor the project to your personal interests. So if you have any ideas or already like some experience about different techniques, you can bring them in and shape the project to the way you like it. And I think that is one of the best parts about the research project. And you will grow a lot as a researcher, but also as a collaborator. And you will also do a lot of presentations, so communicating afterwards will be quite easy for you. And I'll show you a bit about my project. So my first project was about analyzing cytotoxic effects of specific peptides on ovarian clear cell cancer. And it was in the gynecology oncology lab at the UMCG. And you get to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, or longer if you want to, or shorter if you don't have that much time, things to do in the lab. And it can be challenging because it is a very fast-paced work environment. So if you're not used to it, it can be challenging in the beginning. But don't worry about it, because you always have very supportive lab, or you already have your friends that you made throughout the first couple of months of MMIT. And you will get through this, and you will grow a lot. And you will have meetings with your supervisor that will help you along the way as well. So don't worry about it, and it is very, very fun, and you can shape it the way you want to. And with that, I will show you that the first year of MMIT is very challenging, but it is, as you can see throughout these pictures, also very, very fun, because you get to have a bit of a family away from home as well. We have also a great room called the Student Landscape, where you can hang out throughout the day, throughout your studies. You get free coffee there as well. We have a microwave and a fridge, which I think is quite luxurious for a master student. And you will just get to know all of your friends there, and you will have a great time. And since you have only assignments till Friday and no exams at all, you actually get the chance to also do some trips and explore the Netherlands or Germany, for example. As you can see here, we also did some trips to Maastricht or to Bremen, for example. And we're also able to have a good work-life balance between studying, I would say. Yeah, with that, thank you very much for listening. And later on, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. And with that, I'll give the word to our alumni.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Does that? Yes. Okay. Hi everyone. So I'm an alumnus of the MMIT program, and I just graduated last August, so about a year and a half ago. So yeah, it's been a while since I finished my MMIT journey, but it's also not been so long that I forgot what it was like. So before I start telling you about my MIT journey, I wanted to give a little bit of an introduction about myself. Um, so I'm originally from India, and that's where I did my bachelor's in biotechnology. And then I moved to Groningen for the MMIT program. So this is actually a train ticket from my first train journey from Schiphol to Groningen on our first day. And now I work in Amsterdam at the Netherlands Cancer Institute as a PhD student. At the moment, I work with proteomics and immunopeptidomics to study how protein expression dynamics can be linked with antigen presentation in cancer. Yeah, and next slide. Yes. So why did I apply to MMIT? Because after my bachelor's, I was really tired with theoretical learning and exams and all of that, and I wanted to get a taste of what real research is like. I wanted to gain practical experience. I I wanted to stop relying on theoretical learning and think differently and so on. And that's why I applied to MMIT. It was also it was also really nice that MMIT had 2 research projects, and also the courses seemed to give a nice broad understanding of several research areas. And yeah, and that's exactly what I got during the MMIT program. So from day one, MMIT has tried to train us to think like independent researchers. We were not just students, but we were constantly stimulated to to be researchers in our own rights. And as all these pictures show, the assignments were a lot of fun. No 2 assignments I guess there were a couple of similar ones, but most of them were very different from each other. So that really trained us in so many different skills. And they all had so much space for creative thinking and thinking outside the box. You were never really required to stick to to the same old guidelines. One of the pictures here shows us recording a video for one of our assignments. I forgot what the actual assignment was, but for some reason we were pretending that one of us was a sheep inside the nucleus, and and those balloons were basically proteins that we were somehow throwing into the cell. Yeah, it was it was a lot of fun to do this. And another assignment that I show here, for instance, with the title "Genes Are Like Genes," that also shows that you get to play creatively a little bit with your assignments. This was when we had to write an editorial about a paper that we were sent. So that again shows that that MMIT trains you differently, because writing an editorial is not really something so easy. You have to take a paper, think critically about it, see how it fits within the wide area of research that paper belongs to in general, and then put your own perspective on it. So it's quite challenging. But the fact that we were all able to do it within 3 months of within 2 months of starting our MIT program says a lot about the kind of training that you get. What's happening? How do I skip to the next slide? Oh, got it. Yeah. And after the first few theoretical courses, then you move on to your research projects. My first research project I did in Groningen at the Lab of Floris Fayet. I worked on chromosomal instability and how that impacted tumor evolution, drug resistance, and the tumor microenvironment. So what I really wanted to start learning was working with big data. I was very fascinated with next generation sequencing technologies, and I wanted to start learning bioinformatics and how to program. And that's what I was able to do. I worked a little bit with single cell RNA sequencing data, but I also worked in the wet lab. So I was able to balance my project in with a little bit of data analysis and a little bit of wet lab work. Yeah, and then for my next internship, I moved on to the Karolinska Institute in Sweden. Sorry, is someone's mic maybe on? I'm just hearing myself. Sorry, thanks. Yeah, so then I moved to the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, and there I took my interest in next generation sequencing a bit further by working in the wet lab to then try and develop a new single cell method for mapping 3D genome location. To map the location of a specific gene or a locus within the nucleus. So it was a lot of fun and a really nice learning experience. Yeah. And yeah, so that's really what sets MMIT apart. It's that you're not really just a master student, but you're really encouraged to become an independent researcher. And there's so many different areas of research that you can go into. So as an example, yeah, these are the major assignments that I did during my program. I worked on celiac disease to write a PhD proposal on that. I worked on 3D genome organization, which is more fundamental. I also worked on chromosomal instability and cancer. And yeah, these are all somewhat translational. And then I also went more clinical by thinking about how long read sequencing can be applied in the clinic. And that's what I wrote my essay or chapter selector on. And all of these skills have not only shown me how to apply my knowledge in the space of healthcare and biomedical research, but also just trained me to think critically, to write, um, to yeah, to write and to present, because we do that so many times with all these assignments that now it becomes really easy to do it. Yeah, so while everything sounds scary and maybe a bit intense, that, oh, you have to write a PhD proposal, you have to write an editorial, you have to write all of this, we were all able to do it. It's challenging, but somehow you're able to do it, even though it sounds scary. And that says a lot about how MMIT trains you really well. And yeah, so most of my cohort ended up doing PhDs in academia. That was also out of everyone's interest. And then apart from apart from PhDs, some of us are also doing research assistantships or research associates in research assistantships in different labs in academia. Apart from academia, you can also go into the industry and join big pharma or companies that provide contract lab services, for instance, or even startups. There are companies always looking out for students, for good master graduates, for good master students who have experience in different biomedical technologies. Yeah, and that's it for me. Some pro tips. MMIT is intensive, but make sure to enjoy it because it really passes by in a flash. Faculty and the office are always there to help you.
Mayuka, it seems someone is having his mic on, but it isn't aware of it. I'm trying to mute everyone all at once, and you have to click on your mic again. So I will mute now. Try to mute everyone, and then you can activate yourself again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. I hope it's now silent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my last slide is about just some pro tips. So MMIT is challenging and it's intensive, but make sure to enjoy it because it really passes by very quickly. The faculty in the office are always there to help you, whether you have an academic problem or even something personal. They're always thinking of how they can help you sort out your issues. They also used to have I don't know if they still have it, but they had a wall with all of our faces and our names. It sounds creepy, but that was because they knew all of us, they tried to know our names and who we are. So when you walk into the office, they already know you. And they always respond pretty quickly, or they're right next to student landscape where you spend most of your time. So it's very easy to just drop by to their office and ask them whatever questions you have. And there is lots of room to make mistakes. So we've talked a lot about assignments and how MIT trains you, but also what's important to know is that they don't really care about challenging you to give you lower grades. It's just about challenging you enough so that you grow to be an independent researcher. In fact, many assignments, at least in my cohort, were not even graded. So those were really meant for you to try these skills, try writing an editorial, and then get personal feedback from the teachers, because they really read every assignment. They had lots of detailed notes on it and clear feedback for you to improve upon. And I think that's really special with MMIT. You don't really get that in a lot of other programs. I don't know if there's any other program that does this. And be prepared to be challenged, because that's really important. If you want to be an MMIT student, you have to be open to new challenges. You have to be open to working hard, but also they're not going to push you to burnout. Don't worry about that. In fact, during the first courses, we always had the weekends completely off, because we would hand in our assignments on Friday, and then on Monday you would hear about a new assignment. So there really wasn't anything for you to study on the weekends, even if you wanted to. And even during the internships, I think MMIT was always encouraging us to maintain a good work-life balance. So that's all there. And if you have any more questions, if you'd like to contact me, here's my email address on the screen. I hope this was helpful, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Mayuka. And also Annika, thank you for your presentations. I will continue to the next slide. I'm Floor Veldhuis. I'm the study advisor of this master's program. So if you have any questions now or in the future, please feel free to contact me. My contact details will also be on the slide. And of course, Annika and Mayuka and also Inge will be here to answer your questions. So if you want to ask them on the microphone, then please turn on your mics. But you can also leave them in the chat. Anything is fine for us. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. So far, no one, at least on the mic. Maybe some people are in the chat. I will continue to the next slide already to let you know how to get in touch with us. You see the MMIT email address and also my email address. So if you have any questions, or if you have any doubts, or you feel like you want to discuss your ideas you have or anything, please feel free also to contact me, and we can book an arrangement one-on-one. Also, I'm behind the WhatsApp, so you can. I hear someone. Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
It's Ainhoa. Hi. I would like to ask. I'm a Spanish student, and I took my C1, the advanced test, in 2019.
Yeah.
And I've seen the website that it needs to be at least 2 years since I took it. So as maximum of 2 years.
I saw your message. Yeah, I saw your message, and I answered in the chat that if you send me an email, we can have a look into your situation, because indeed you need to have a valid certificate for this degree. But please send me an email, and then we can have a look at it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I see a message from Antonia about the neuroscience specialization. Is there a curriculum we can find and see the courses, or how does this specialization look like exactly? Maybe Inga, you can address this question the best.
Yes, so for all the specializations, including the neuroscience, you get to know during the first course the mechanisms of disease and innovative treatment. And each of the specializations also has an elective that you can choose afterwards so that you can more specialize into this direction. And the 2 research internships you can choose in this direction. And we will have the speed date sessions. There's specialization coordinators for each specialization that you can also contact. So the program you compose yourself, but we do provide additional electives that you can choose in this specific specialization fields that we offer.
All right, it seems Antonia's question is answered. She says thank you in the chat. Are there any other questions? I see Kyra. A lot of masters look alike. What makes MMIT different? Well, maybe also Inga, you're...
Yeah, so what is really different is what Annika and Mayuka already mentioned. It's the small cohort. It's the not only the science part, but also the social and the fun part. I think what we really do at MMIT is that we train you to become critical thinkers, and that's not only useful in research, but everywhere in life. So you really become a problem solver, and that's really the focus of the program. And that you, of course, can come up with your own learning goals and that we help you to achieve those. So there's a lot of freedom, but we guide you, and there's a lot of supervision. And thank you, Annika, for also mentioning the student mentor, because sometimes it's easier to talk to someone of your own age and to really get the experience hands-on from your peers.
I also think that it's like very like you focus more on diseases and like on the actual part, on the actual research that is going on in the hospital at the same time as well. And I have the feeling, or at least when I was looking for different options for masters, a lot of universities did not have like the capacity or the closeness to actually a hospital where you get the hands-on experience and you have so much like practical experience that other masters, in my opinion, didn't have to offer, and that makes like the big difference as well to everything that Inge already said about MMIT.
Yeah, so that's good to mention indeed. So at the university hospital, of course we do fundamental science, but we also do translational science and clinical science. And you can join all of these kinds. So we have the whole spectrum, I think, of the different research areas that you can work in, but also the type of research. So some students have really a preference for the fundamental science, and other students really like to work more towards improved diagnosis or really new treatments for patients that are really applied in the clinic. But everything is possible.
Maybe I can add something to that as well. Yeah, I agree with everything Annika and Inga has said. Apart from that, I think also something that's more of a broader difference is I think a lot of master programs, or most master programs, treat students as students, where they're there to just listen to lectures and take in what's being taught. But I think MMIT already treats you as more of a junior scientist, for instance, or junior researcher. So the attitude is more that you make your own opinion on everything. You don't really have lectures to be taught a topic. Like, for instance, you don't really have lectures on how the cell cycle works, but instead you would maybe get a paper on cell cycle and then be asked to write an editorial about it. Just as an example. And I think that's really what makes the training of MMIT very, very different.
Thanks for all the answers, and most importantly, of course, Kira, can you let us know if your questions have been answered this way.
Yeah, I see that Kira really looks for if there's a difference between MMIT and MPS. So
Master of Pharmaceutical Sciences.
yes, so I think MPS is more focused on pharmacy, so more on like pharmaceutical compound development, dosing regimens, so more like the pharmacy part. And MMIT is more broad. And when we think about drug delivery, it's also more about delivery systems. So not only the active molecules, but also how to encapsulate them, for example, in nanomedicine, to deliver them to the site of action. So more also with the cell biology involved. I think that's one of the major differences, except from, of course, that we have the small cohort, international cohort, all the things that were already mentioned. But content-wise, MPS is more pharmacy, and MMIT is more broad.
Are there any more questions? I will continue. If you have questions, then please interrupt me. Next week, we also have a meet and greet. It's an online session of 1 hour with, again, some students and alumni, and I will be there as well to have an informal chat about more details of the program, more experiences of students, to really, well, hear the honest stories about how they experienced this program. So book your spot. If you would like to be there, you're more than welcome. And if there are no questions anymore, I see something popping up. Celinda asks, what is the difference between MMIT and IMIM? Because both of them will have opportunities to study or do research in another country. Inge, maybe also for you this one.
Yes, so IMIM is a program that is run across 4 different universities. So we have the University of Heidelberg, Uppsala, Groningen, and currently also a new partner, University of Tartu. So you will spend 1 year in one of these universities, and after that transfer to another university to do your second year. So it's a totally different program, but the main difference with MMIT is that you also have this entrepreneurial skill set. But indeed, yes, you can also go abroad when you study IMIM. Yeah.
Does this answer your question, Celinda? I will continue and I will check in the chat. But if there are no questions anymore, I would like to thank you all for being here today. We will also send you the recordings and again also some information about the meet and greet next week, so you can expect an email from my side. Thanks to for joining us, like I said, and if there are no questions, then you're free to leave. If you still have some questions, then please stay. And otherwise, I wish you all a very good day or evening, depending on where you are in the world.